Hey there, folks. Welcome back to You're Kiddin', Right? If you are new to the You're Kiddin' Right community, please remember to like and subscribe. If you are not so new, remember to hit the like button. Everybody leave comments, and also keep in mind that I will be posting every day, so make sure you pop back to the channel to see what's what. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We are going to talk about Big Head Dad and the fact that we owe him a big old thank you. Yes, 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 we owe a big thank you to Big Head Dad. For what, you ask? For helping us peak the planet, for helping us peak trans many, many, many more people than we could have done on our own just by talking about this. Why? How did Big Head Dad help us? By acting this out and having narcissism so profound that he actually went to the press to talk about his perversity. So, I've written out a couple things, so let's talk about what we owe Big Head Dad a big vote of thanks for, and also the Daily Mail for bringing this to us. Here we go. So, one of the things that Big Head Dad demonstrated is perversity. Frequently, sane people and members of the turban, that is the TERFs, the plural of TERF is turban, at least in Karen speak. One of the things that we discuss is the perversity. Specifically, the upending or the reversal of, or the attempt to reverse rules of biology. Specifically, the attempt of these individuals to become women. If you look up the definition of perversion, that is one of them, right? The reversal of norms, the reversal of standards, particularly to negative consequences. So, but there's also the more traditional concept of perversity being acted out here. And I can't see it as anything but perverse to essentially moob feed a child to satisfy a sexual fetish. Now, Big Head Dad can argue all he wants. It wasn't a lactation fetish. He's not an AGP, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. I don't believe that. So what we have seen here is perversity in action. A man trying to impersonate a woman so completely that he induced lactation in himself and then upped the perv content by actually involving an innocent infant in this. That's pretty perverse. Okay, what else did he help us with? He demonstrated the profound desire of a lot of these guys to erase women entirely in his attempt to usurp motherhood from the baby's mother, to usurp that motherhood from his wife. Baby only has one mother. The mother is the woman who gave birth, who gestated that child and gave birth to him. There is no way that any man can be the child's mother. But Big Head Dad wanted to feel like a mom, as he is quoted as saying in the Daily Mail. And so what did he do? He decided to induce lactation in himself so that he could moob feed his child with the galactorrhea discharge from his nipple. So, because he wanted to feel like a mom. He wanted to be mommy. And so, he took steps to be mommy even though the child already had a mommy. And everybody only gets one. And you know what? Dad is never the mom. So, we have that attempt, that deep desire to usurp womanhood and motherhood, and to appropriate both. I did mention the narcissism, right? Okay, so that's another thing that he demonstrated in fine form. His almighty ego said that he can be whatever he wants. He can even be a woman. And so he took steps to feminize himself. Now, obviously, he did not become female. He became some kind of feminized male with compromised health, because as I've said many times, healthy men do not lactate. But since he believes that he can be whatever he wants, and the corollary of that is that we are supposed to accept him in his feminine role, right? That is the narcissism on display. It is because I said it is, and you will go along with it because I said so. And the narcissism is even is demonstrated in even greater profundity by him going to the press and expecting to be stunning and braved all over the place. I don't know if it ever occurred to him that there would be individuals who would, shall we say, have a different opinion of his willingness to participate or to use himself as a guinea pig in this male lactation experiment and then to involve his baby in it. The narcissism may have been so great that it never even occurred to him that anybody would have anything negative to say about it, or if they did, once he stomped his little foot, that we would all, run away, or we would all shut up. But yeah, no, that didn't happen. So again, we have the narcissism on display. Fabulous. Now this is something that sane people and members of the turban also say all the time, that this is profoundly narcissistic. But in Big Head Dad, we've actually got a wonderful demonstration of that. So thanks again, Big Head Dad, and thank you, Daily Mail. Now, one of the other things we see, and this is really my only quibble with the Daily Mail, is the linguistic capture. Okay? Now, we talk about trans having captured organizations frequently, but it's on display in the Daily Mail because they do use the preferred pronouns. They refer to Buckley as she. Buckley is male. Now, in all fairness, the Daily Mail did mention that Buckley was born male, M-A-L-E, which is awesome. They also mentioned, and I absolutely love this, they mentioned that Buckley froze his sperm, see. So while they did do the pronouns and demonstrate the linguistic capture, they did not pretend that Buckley is actually female, right? Because they put in those little disclaimers. Now, if I had my druthers, they would just call the guy he. But I understand that you can get into it. You can get to the point where you can't publish the article if you don't use the preferred pronouns. And in this case, I think the most important thing to do was to get the information out. And so, while I don't like preferred pronouns, I am glad that the Daily Mail found a way to get us this information. Okay, and now, the other part of the institutional capture was with the Australian Breastfeeding Association and La Leche League. Both of these organizations that are supposed to focus on women, breastfeeding mothers, who are universally female. These organizations are supposed to help women and to help the families of breastfeeding women, but the focus is the breastfeeding woman. Both of these organizations, though, are enthralled to trans, and so they talk about chest feeding. And the Australian Breastfeeding Association, as we discussed last night, has put out a book about chest feeding and human milk feeding. Why? Because they want to be inclusive. Inclusive of whom? Well, inclusive of dysphoric women who have managed to overcome their dysphoria enough to actually get pregnant and bear a child but can't bear to breastfeed. So that's a whole thing right there. What they should really be doing is offering those women mental health care, because that's what they need, or peddling the fallacy that women who have had their breasts removed through cosmetic double mastectomy will somehow be able to breastfeed, or that gay men somehow or another need breastfeeding support. I don't know. And that men, like Big Head Dad, can chest feed, or in this case, moob feed. Now, The Daily Mail article did mention, they quoted, I don't remember her first name, Miss Kerr, Kerr, and she said that there has been no assessment of the discharge that these men emit. So there's no comparison between it and actual breast milk that comes from the child's actual mother. I would imagine, for a whole host of reasons, that it is not comparable in any form or fashion. But the Australian Breastfeeding Association acts as if it is. So an organization that is supposed to help breastfeeding mothers, you would imagine, would have a great deal of respect for motherhood, for breastfeeding, for breast milk, and the health benefits that it confers upon the infant. But no, because the Australian Breastfeeding Association, seeks to equate actual milk produced by actual women with galactorrhea from a man. Institutional capture. Thank you very much, Big Head Dad, for going to the press and allowing us to find that out. And so Australian women now know that if you want real breastfeeding support, you might want to consider going to another organization that is not the Australian Breastfeeding Association or La Leche League. You may. Now, I don't want anyone accusing me of defamation, so I will say this. It's possible that there are women who work for both of those organizations who are absolutely wonderful at what they do, and even though they are forced to pretend they believe in this nonsense, they don't actually believe in it. They just say it so they can keep their jobs and keep helping women. So, while the institution's stance is questionable, it is entirely possible that there are women working for these organizations who do indeed have a great deal of respect for women and for lactation and breastfeeding. Okay, now, what else do we see? Oh, yeah! Okay. Now, I can't pin this on Big Head Dad, because I don't think it was Big Head Dad who suggested that the cops get involved. So we see here the willingness of certain trans individuals and possibly of certain organizations who are enthralled to trans to use the police as the enforcement arm for trans ideology. What am I talking about? Okay, so in the comments, and I don't believe this was Buckley, this was someone calling himself, I believe, Carolyn Coxon, Coxon, who said that the Brisbane police should be involved. Like, somebody should call the cops because I am here criticizing Big Head Dad and the Australian Breastfeeding Association. That sentiment was echoed by someone named Sarah Hall. Now, I've been in contact via email with Jasmine Sussex, who was fired by the Australian Breastfeeding Association for refusing to go along with the trans ideology in the way that they wanted her to. So she let me know that this individual, Sarah Hall, may very well be affiliated with the Australian Breastfeeding Association. Sarah Hall, who wanted to call the police, the Brisbane police, on moi because I was criticizing Big Head Dad and the ABA. So, you have a woman willing to call the police on another woman for criticizing an organization for their denigration of women. Clearly, Sarah Hall, who may be someone named Sarah Bayliss, who is affiliated with the Australian Breastfeeding Association, was willing, in order to shut me down, in order to shut me up, and to keep me from criticizing Big Head Dad, was willing to involve the cops. Is that the act of a marginalized population? Absolutely not. Marginalized people don't call the cops, because marginalized people know that they can end up on the losing end of any equation that involves law enforcement. So, who in this equation is a member of the marginalized group? Is it Sarah Hall, possibly Sarah Bayliss? No. Is it Coxon? No. Is it Big Head Dad, the moob feeder? No. Who is it? It's anybody who dares to criticize these people and run afoul of them. Jasmine Sussex has been marginalized by the Australian Breastfeeding Association because she refused to go along with the trans BS, and so they threw her out. And a group of other women who've had a tremendous amount of experience and are extremely compassionate and committed to the care for women. Bye. You're not buying into the trans ideology? Get out of here. So, there we go. Again, I want to thank Big Head Dad for making all of these things so clear to us. And I want to thank the Australian Breastfeeding Association for setting a precedent for an attempt at censorship. As the Aussies say, good on ya. Stay strong, ladies.